But in general, they tend to be around. But if they are not, and if they are like parts of the fruit itself that goes down, then you have the fruit, around the mother tree as well. And then there are a number of animals, say mammals in particular, small mammals, even the peccaries, for instance, that goes and are looking for those, and they take these fruits, eat them, and eventually they eat the entire fruit and disperse by the feces in other places. Some of those animals destroy the seeds because they eat them entirely, so it doesn't work as a disperser. But some others, they eat entirely but don't destroy the seeds. So there's a number of interactions there. Then there are some other animals that do interesting things. I mean, the complexity in Yasuni is interesting because I've seen, for instance, palms that do this situation that they have fruits that drop below. And then you have that the fruits are quickly damaged because there is a kind of beetle that come and put, eggs inside very quickly. So most of them tend to be damaged very soon.
When the fruit is getting down, or the fruit on the palm?
No. When they are down, usually. Okay. If they are on the palm and they are ripe, so maybe they are okay. They are good. They are not damaged. But once they are on the ground, very quickly tends to happen that in those palms, in many of the palms that have this kind of dispersion. But there are a few that escape this. But of those seeds that are on the ground, there are some, like agoutis, for instance, that come and eat them. There's a lot, because you can have palms that produces hundreds of those. So they eat a lot, and then they hide some of them for the future, because there are periods when they don't have enough food, so they go back.
Like a squirrel.
Exactly. So it happens that if you go to the forest, you see, there are so many number of seeds that are dispersed, below the tree, but there are only few, seedlings and individuals of that particular plant. So something is happening. So what happened is that only those that are hidden and then forgotten by these animals are the successful ones. So there are a number of interactions that happen after the seeds are dispersed.
And this was agouti, for instance.
An agouti, for instance.
Agouti and different palm trees.
Yes. Okay. Yes. There are depends, but I am talking, for instance, there's this palm that we have studied a little bit, which is called the Chambira palm. So Chambira is interesting because it's also the palm that the indigenous people are doing, extracting fibers to construct handicrafts and things. They're famous because of that. And it's supposed to be one of the, kind of semi-domesticated palm. So you have that. Then you have others that, as I said, can fly, depends on the wind, go farther away. There are some others that are dispersed, for instance, by bats. You see, so bats go to that particular tree, take the fruit with the mouth, go to another place to establish and try to, I don't know exactly how it works, but they are trying to fix in a place where they can manipulate the fruit and eat around the fruit to a point where they take all the edible part, which is the more or less the superficial plus the fresh part of the fruit, and then they disperse. But they have to fly to a different part. So that's another interesting mechanism that we know is happening in some cases. One other interesting one, an important one, are monkeys in Yasuni. We have about 10 different species of monkeys, and they tend to be specialists in the way they distribute resources in the forest. So some of them are mostly going around the canopy, for instance, and they are always doing that, and they have a particular way to move around. Their territory is big, and they move around, and they know when a particular species is producing fruits. And they go, for instance, I've seen that they take, they are taking different kinds and species, but there's one particular genus that have like 44 species in that genus. It's the most species-rich genus. And they produce a legume. And that legume, you can eat what is, around the seed. So produce what is called an aril. This aril is edible, and they are looking for that. So they open the legume, they eat that, and they throw, the seed. So that's interesting because an interesting mechanism. They are more or less, they are in different directions. For instance, they are dispersing.
Like gardeners.
Like gardeners, exactly. And it's one interesting aspect of that particular group of plants is that they tend to germinate very quickly. So even when the fruit is not completely open, because they tend to be rather close, the seeds are already germinating. Because
within the fruit?
Within the fruit. So that's something that's happening. In Inga in particular, that's the name of the genus, is a feature.
Could you give me the name of the genus of the...
The genus is Inga. So
Inga.
Yeah.
Okay.
Inga, exactly. So in that genus, I'm not sure if all the species, but many species tend to have this particular way to germinate very quickly. Which brings me to another point, because in this kind of forest like Yasuni, the seeds tend to germinate quickly. They are not seeds that are designed to last, to be dormant for a long time. So most of the species produce seeds that tend to germinate in a few weeks, in a week, 2, 3, few weeks. And then the strategy is trying to have seedlings. So it's a competence, because many of them are damaged. Many of them are not viable at the end. Many of them are eaten and destroyed by animals. That's why Yasuni is so diverse, because only few are successful at the end. And then you can have...
Only few on each species.
Right, because what is common in Yasuni are the rarity is common in Yasuni. Rare species are common, and common species are rare. That's the rule in Yasuni. So
when you say